Hi everyone, it's Kerry back with you today. So today's project is a bit of a hybrid. It's a quickie with Kerry. It could be a mass make and we're using up book pages. So maybe it's just a massive quickie with Kerry using book pages. Anyway, I have been making these little pockets and I'm completely obsessed with them. They're made using book pages and it's a double-sided double book page pocket. With a couple of journaling cards. So today I'm going to show you how I've created these ones, and then I've also been playing with Reenie's new kit, which hasn't officially launched yet, but I've been making using some of the some of the elements from that kit. So this is just a bit of a teaser about what's in that kit. But today we'll be using images similar to this. I will be linking in the description box below the kits that I have used pieces from, but you don't need a kit. You can use anything that you've already got or other kits if you have them, or you could even use items from our freebies, so I'll link to the freebie section of the shop as well. So for today's project I'm going to be using book pages, but you can use any kind of paper that you like. Scrapbook paper, if it's a thin one it might be alright, but if it's a heavy duty paper it might get a bit thick for this project. And I find that like an A4 or larger size page works better. It ends up giving you more real estate to create on the front, but you can of course use any size pages that you like. So I've got here, I think this is an encyclopedia page, I've got some music paper, and this is from an old diary. So I've got one of each of these pages in front of me, so I thought we could make a pocket from each one. And the actual making of the base of the pocket is very quick. I like my writing to be in the correct orientation, so I'm going to fold my page in half. And if it's a book page, you might also check the back of your book page, because if there's images and that sort of thing, you might want to incorporate those in your pocket. So I'm not particularly wanting to keep that image, so I'm just going to fold my book page in half, and then I'm going to turn it over so this writing is now upside down, and then I'm going to fold it in half again. So this will give me a folded edge on this side and two folded edges down the bottom here. The rest of these are like little open leaves, and that's what we'll use to make our pocket. So to seal the two sides of the pocket together, I'm just going to glue the middle pages together. I'm just using glue stick, and then I'll probably pop a little bit of art glitter glue around the edge. Way too much glue there now. So just fold that over. So that then gives me this open part here, and then the back is also open, but these two middle bits have been glued together. So then I will decide which pocket I want to be side loading and which pocket I would like to be top loading, and I prefer my front pocket to be side loading. So I'm just going to take my glue and run a small bead of glue along the top edge there. And then turn my pocket over to the back, and this will be a top loading pocket. So I'm going to pop a small bead of glue down this side. So if you're going to mass make these, I prefer to make a whole bunch of bases and then come back and do some more decorating and things once they're dry. So I'll just quickly make up these other two pockets as well. And my last one is a music page, and I think I might keep this as part of my decoration. Okay, so I've now got three bases ready to go, and if you prefer one side rather than the other, you can, of course, turn your page over. It'll just mean that your top loading pocket would be the front one if you've already glued it, and the side loading pocket would load from this side at the back. So you'd have this as your pocket there. So I'm just going to keep them all in this orientation. Once you're at this stage, it's a matter of deciding how you want to decorate it. So you might not like any of what's on the front of the book page, and you could just cover it up with some other kind of paper. So for my pages, I want them to have a bit of a mixed media look. So I'm just going to use gesso to cover up some of the base of my project. And I'm just going to use a palette knife rather than a brush to spread my gesso around so that it's imperfect. In some places it will be heavier than others. And if I want to use it to cover up the text more and leave the lines a bit more exposed, I can put a heavier layer over the text and apply less gesso on the lines. And I want it to sort of look a bit messy. It's a background after all, so I don't need it to be perfect. So I'll just leave that aside to dry. You could also use a roller or a brayer to apply gesso, or even just your fingers. A bit like buttering toast. And just put some marks in there so it's not all the same. And leave that one aside to dry as well. And with this music one, I don't want to cover up quite as much of the music, so I'll leave the gesso a little bit thinner there and pop it a bit thicker at the top here, I think. But I might expose some of that writing. And it will dry a little bit more transparent than what you see when it's wet as well. Alright, good enough. So then we need to set those aside to dry. So here's a couple that I have already gessoed earlier, and the gesso is nice and dry now. And once you've got to this stage, decorating is, personal preference, however you choose to decorate. So today I'm going to be using some bits and pieces that I've picked out from the watercolour digi and also from the Vintage People digi. But you can use whatever you like as your focals. So I thought I might pick one of these people from the Vintage People kit in a green tone. So I'll have him as one of my focals. So I've picked out the same page from the pink tones. Alright, now I've also taken out, I've got some pouches here of bits and pieces that I've cut from digis, and then I've just kept them in colour tones just so that I can grab a pack when I want to work with a certain colour. And I've taken some of these watercolour swatches from the watercolour kit. I've also got some bits of, this is just brown packaging paper, and then I've popped it into my binding machine, and I've just punched holes all the way along, so I've got a bit of that. I'll probably pick something, this is again from the watercolour kit, and I want to pick something that sort of matches his tones. I think these ones are going to be too red up here, so I'll probably pick something from down here. I might start with this green chap first. So I think for this page I might add a little bit of texture in the background as well, and I'm going to use a stencil, and I'm just going to use a bit of this is called paper texture paste. It's a really, really light material, and I'm just going to randomly pop some of that over part of the stencil. And not really happy with how that came out, so I'm just going to scrape that off and start again. Right, holding it down a bit better this time. That's better. So now I just want to dry that texture paste off a little bit so I can add some wet mediums over the top. So I'll just set that one aside to make sure that it's dried properly, and we'll work on this one a little bit. So I think for the background of this one I might just add a little bit of stamping for texture. So I've got here some Distress Oxide in spun sugar, and I'm just going to randomly add some of this sort of, it's almost like a bubble wrap kind of stamp over the top here. Okay, I think that'll do. Can always come in with a bit more if I need it later. Using a text stamp and some black archival ink, I'm just going to go over those areas that I've stamped with the bubble wrap, just with this text. And because this is archival ink, it won't run if it gets wet. So I might just add a small amount of water to that oxide just to get a bit of movement and dry that off a bit. I've lost a lot of the definition from those pink sort of bubble wrap dots, so I'm just going to go back and add some more with the same ink. And now I'm just going to start building my cluster. So this paper has like a shiny side and a more matte side, and I think I like the matte side better. And I'm going to bring in some scrap paper, and I'm just going to stamp on the top of that with that same pink and a different stamp. Oops. So I think I want to use this section here for my colour. Just trying to figure out if I want that dark one. I don't think I do. So I'm just going to cut this off here. I think I'll cut these bottom two off as well. So I might actually tear this edge away and turn it around that way. And I'll just have a rummage through my pre-cut bits to see what else I might like to add. Okay, so I don't mind that. I might start gluing that down. I think I need a little bit more stamping on here with the black text. And then I'm just going to start gluing and assembling my little collage on here. Now I've also got some little botanical bits and pieces that I have cut out before. I've cut these on the laser, but you could use a die to cut out something similar. The Tim Holtz wildflowers would work very well. And I just want to see if I want to add some of these in the background. So I quite like the look of the botanicals in the background, but I think they're a little bit harsh, so I'm just going to tone them down a bit with some of the oxide ink. I've just got an old cellophane bag here, and I've just squished some ink onto it. Just going to give it a little spritz of water. Then I'm just going to dip these stems into the oxide so they pick up some of that ink. Now I'm just going to pop a bit of ink around this label just to give it a bit more definition so it stands out a bit more from the background. There we go. So I'll finish that off with some gold splashes in a moment. Okay, so now I want to work on this green one, and this is the one that we've put texture paste on. Now I've picked a couple of different greenish toned oxides, and I'm going to mix those on this cellophane bag here. So I've got a few different colours I can work with. So I'm just going to add some water to my colours, and I'm also going to add a little bit of water on top of our prepared background, and I'm just going to pick up the colour with my brush and just start adding it randomly on my background. Okay, so I've got this background. Now these were the ones that I had made prior to the video, and I have just realised that I haven't glued down the back and front parts of the pockets, so I'm just going to do that now. Okay, so I'm happy with the colour on the front there, and I'm just going to start building my collage. So to finish off the front, I'm just going to add a couple of stamps. And then I want to notch my pockets so it makes it a bit more obvious that there is a pocket. So I'm just going to slide my punch in and just make a little notch hole there, and then I'll do the same for the pocket at the back. And then I have gone ahead and popped some little journal cards into my envelopes. So for the back one, I've just put a tall journaling card in, and I've just given it some simple decorating that matches what's on the front of the card, so that I'm still leaving writing space on the back, but it looks like it's part of a set. And then the same with the side one, just another version of the same thing, blank on the back. And something similar for this one. So basically just using the same techniques as the front with either a little bit of collage or some stamping to create a matching journaling card. And then the last thing I like to do is just add some gold splashes and then leave them to dry. Now I'm using Lindy's Magical Shakers, and this is the glittering gold colour. And the thing I really like about these is you can let them dry completely and they will reactivate once you add water, so you're never wasting any product. So I've just got a little scrap bit of chipboard, I'll put that over my picture. You could do black or white splatters too, that would also look quite nice. So I have only decorated one side of my double-sided double pocket, so the back is still just the music paper, but you could decorate both sides if you wanted to and then hinge it into your journal or just have it as a floating pocket that clips in. So I'm leaving mine blank on the back because I'm not really sure what I want to do with it, or you could just pop glue down and stick them into your journal as well. So I hope you have got some inspiration from that. I really like the fact that they're using up book pages because we've all got thousands of those to use up. And you can go ahead and decorate the fronts in any way you choose for any theme. So as I mentioned, I will leave links in the description box below to the items that I've used in today's project, but just use what you have. You can use anything you like. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you again next time. Bye.